my shadow's getting on there. Let's see something.
It's okay. It'll be alright.
Okay, I'm gonna point at you when I want you to start.
My name is I am from Austria, from Europe. I'm here in Pine Island, Minnesota, together with my friend Danny Anderson and Craig Swanson from Farmington Implement, and together with my two prototype tractors I got at an auction 2 months ago. I'm an IH enthusiast over from Europe. I was several times in the US in the past few years to do some research about the International Harvester Company. I always love to talk to people which were involved in the International Harvester Company. I love to talk to people who work for the International Harvester Company. I was several times here in the US to be at the Red Power Roundup to meet the people who are interested in this great company. And during my IH researches, I was, for instance, several times in the McCormick Archives in Madison, Wisconsin. And through my researches, I got in contact with many people in many names which were involved in International Harvester. And through all of these contacts, I got the information that there are two prototype tractors, and I tracked down the history of these prototype tractors. I was in contact, for instance, with Craig Montgomery, the designer, the original designer of these tractors. I met with Craig Montgomery about 7 years ago, and he showed me through his work for International Harvester, and especially for these two tractors. He had some background information. He has shared some photos of the building process of these tractors. The tractors were built, the clay models were built in Fort Wayne, Indiana at the truck studio, and then shipped to Hinsdale, Illinois, where they made of them running prototypes. And Craig Montgomery shared all of this information to me, and I always wondered in the past few years where these prototypes were gone. And I was talking to several IH people like me, and one of them told me that they may reside at a school or university somewhere in Wisconsin, and I immediately began my researches about this and wrote some emails and SMS to several people, schools in Wisconsin. And one time I got an answer from Joseph Schakal from the University of River Falls, Wisconsin. He's agricultural professor there, and he answered me back, yes, that there are two prototypes residing at the university in River Falls. I asked Joseph Schakal if I would be allowed to come up to River Falls when I'm in the US again, and he said that I'm allowed to do so. So when I got to the US again, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, I went up to River Falls, met with Joseph Schakal, and we went to a farm at the university facility, and he opened the doors, and there the two prototypes were standing. They were in not very good condition, especially the 885 prototype was not running, it was not starting, it was full of dust and so on. The 485 prototype is in still good, it's in very good condition. It has about 360 hours on the odometer. It was running, and Joseph allowed me the time I was there to drive with this prototype tractor, and I was very excited about this. Joseph Schakal showed me also all the paperwork he has from Case IH when they donated the two tractors to the university. The university wasn't originally allowed to sell these tractors. They used the tractors for the students for engineering purposes, I think. But in the last years they stood only in the barn. And yeah, I left the US again, but I could never forget these prototypes. And Joseph told me when I was there that they intend to sell the prototypes to maybe a collector who preserves the history of these tractors, who maybe restores them and make them public to other IH enthusiasts. And I never forget surprisingly, I found both tractors for less money than I thought. But I had to figure out now what to do with them, and I thought of Danny Anderson. I know Danny Anderson from Facebook. I know him from several empowerment labs, and I admire his work about the IH tractors he always restores. He told me when I was there he did about 400 or 500 tractors over the last few years, and I contacted Danny, and Danny was very excited too, and he provided immediately his help. He provided me shipping information that I could ship the tractors from the auction company to Pine Island, Minnesota, and I figured out when I can come to the US to begin the restoring process together with Danny Anderson, and I made it now in December here to Pine Island, Minnesota, and we spent the last 3 days together to look over all the tractors, what parts we need for the restoring process, what parts I may get over in Europe, what parts maybe Danny Anderson get, and yeah, over the next few weeks I will head home in 2 days again. I will leave the tractors here, and Danny will restore them in the next few months for me, and after this I intend maybe I let the tractors here in the US for some months or some years, that they are displayed in maybe some museums which would be interested in, and but if this would not be the case, I will ship them over to Austria, and there I will store them in my barn at home. I run a small farm in Austria, and I built a new barn for not only these tractors, but for the others I own too, and I'm very excited about this, and I can't wait that Danny Anderson will finish my tractors.